Hey there, Derek Rydall here, founder of the Law of Emergence and author of the best-selling books Emergence and the Abundance Project. And I'm just kind of excited to just share briefly today about this topic, why we should be offended more often. All right, maybe I should put my hat on sideways. No. Why we should be offended more often. And actually, let's go like this, a little better. The thing about it is that I think it was Mae West that said that those that are offended easily should be offended more often. And we live right now in a highly charged social-political environment where we are giving the message increasingly that we should create safe spaces, that we should be very careful with our words, that we should try to make sure everybody else is very careful with everything they say, very politically correct, because just in case you may say the wrong gender or say a thing about men or women or children or a particular issue in the wrong way and offend people. And it's become a cancel culture where people's entire careers can be canceled if they don't say it just right. And there's a really big problem with this. Beyond the lack of the freedom of speech, there's a much deeper need, is that if we don't have the ability and the right to continue to speak our truth without it having to be held under such tight strictures, under such a tight container of perfection, unless we should say the wrong thing, then real freedom of speech goes away. And without real freedom of speech, the actual practice and process of seeking to express ourselves and be messy at times, and be wrong in times, and make mistakes at times, which is the process by which we clarify our thinking and we clarify our understanding. That process goes away. And there is no longer real conversation. There's just political conversation, even amongst friends and family and within different communities. So much of social media has been polarized because of this very problem. And it is our ability to speak our truth, to have real discourse, to have real conversation, and to speak with nuance. It is with the Me Too movement, for an example, it is not just simply women are right and men are wrong. Men are toxic and women are victims. That is not the whole story. Yes, there is absolutely a truth to the need for men to get a grip on themselves and women to finally have their voice and be strong and be heard and, absolutely put the people on trial that are truly guilty and have real consequences. Absolutely. In all the areas, race, gender, sexual preference, religious, political, all of these areas, there needs to be strong voices, there needs to be real consequences, real boundaries and guidelines. But the problem is, it goes from something that is organic and valuable very quickly to something that is polarized and politically correct. And the real conversation that leads to real answers, real solutions, real progress, and real evolution is diminished and eventually stops completely. And that's happening with so many of the highly politicized identity politics. And you may think it doesn't affect you, but it deeply affects all of us. The whole reason why freedom of speech is a foundation of a democracy is that the freedom to share and discover within our sovereign container and together what are our deeper truths and what is the truth in the middle is impossible without nuanced conversation, communication, truth-telling as best as we can, with enough freedom to get it wrong, with enough freedom to make mistakes, with enough freedom that if we don't say the right word, we're not canceled, we're not doxxed, we're not shamed, we're not cut out of the conversation. So that's the primary reason why we need to be willing and able to be offended. We need to be willing and able to have our colleges have views from all sides without rallies and riots and police escorts. We need to be willing ourselves to open ourselves up to other opinions that we don't agree with. This is what liberal arts is all about, liberal education is all about. This is what education in general is all about. But there's another really important reason, especially to a lot of you in my community, is that You're not really in the world is in you. And so anything that triggers you, that offends you, it's showing you not something specifically that's wrong outside of you. It's showing you a place within yourself where you have a judgment, where you have a shadow. If you look at the political environment and you don't like Trump, what is it triggering in you? What is the projection? Whatever pushes or pulls you is a projection of some unhealed, unreconciled part of you. And when you begin to use the world that way as a mirror, and you take responsibility for everything that triggers you, and you learn to discover what is your judgment, what is your belief, when you understand that fear is a signal that you're believing a lie, and that you need to apprentice under a deeper truth, when you see that judgment is a signal that you have reached the boundary of your own map of reality, and you are now on the edge. In the old days when they'd make maps and they had not, excavated the territory, they didn't know what was out there, they would just put a thing, there be dragons. And so when you feel judgment, what you're saying is, there be dragons. But what that means is it's just uncharted territory within your own consciousness, within the territory of your own heart and your own mind and your own soul. And if you try to create a life where you have friends and family and open yourself up to certain perspectives that are only that which you agree with, only that which feels safe, only that which does not hurt your feelings, then you have just signed up for stagnation. And stagnation is another word for hell. But if you're willing to have the courage to listen, to take responsibility for all the places you are offended, to do your own work to become unoffendable, unbotherable, to really own that level of sovereign power, and then to be able to have the courage to speak your truth, no matter the cost, but in service of the highest good, in service of love. If you're having a conversation about a charged subject merely to be right, merely to prove someone else wrong, merely to defend or protect your point of view, you are unconscious there. And you are stagnant there. And you are stopping progress and evolution there. And if you are out there supporting other people that are doing that, you are supporting stagnation. You are supporting the decline of real democracy and real freedom. You are supporting the decline of real truth, of real progress and real evolution. Enough with these safe spaces and microaggressions. Probably some of you are getting microaggressed upon right now by what I'm saying. Good. Our work is not merely to comfort the afflicted, but sometimes and often more than usual, to afflict the comfortable within ourselves and within each other, but in service of the highest good, in service of greater freedom, in service of love, in service of the greatest authentic expression of life in and as each and every individual. That's what we need. That's a thought leader. That's a change maker. That's a real influencer. They are one that has the courage to tell the truth, to live their truth at the edge of their map of reality in service of the highest good of all, no matter the cost. And so I invite you today to notice where you've hemmed yourself in merely to feel safe, comfortable, protected, and begin to make a commitment to explore the boundaries of your own known territory. Ask questions like, what is being said that I'm not hearing, that I'm not willing to hear within myself, within my relationship, within the world or a community or a family I'm part of? What is being said that I'm not hearing? What am I saying that isn't being heard? Because that means you're not really saying it. There's passive aggressiveness or just full out repression or denial. And you're blaming other people for not being heard. But it's nobody else's responsibility to hear you. It's your responsibility to speak your truth with authenticity and clarity and power until it's heard. So you want to begin to have a prayer. Let me see what I've been unwilling to see. Let me feel what I've been unwilling to feel. Let me hear what I've been unwilling to hear. Let me have the courage to say what I've been unwilling to say and to do what I've been unwilling to do. That's the mantra of a real thought leader, a real change maker, a real truth teller, just basically a sovereign being. So it's time for us to put on our big boy and girl pants and get ready to be offended. Build the resilience, build the soul stamina, take 100% responsibility for our world, because again, you're not in the world is in you. So begin to examine the world in you more than you judge the world out there. I hope this has supported you, and until next time, remember to live authentically, love unconditionally, and follow your destiny.